Okay, it is game over time. As in, we got to program some way for this game to be over. Obviously, it's not going to work out if we just kind of run into a wall like we did in the last simulation, and nothing happens after that. After you die, see, we're kind of stuck here at this point. So we're going to handle this in our update method in the level class, which just makes sense because this is running obviously 60 frames per second or so, and it will tell us pretty much immediately if there is not a leader or a follower found in the group. So that's exactly what we're checking for, essentially. And what we'll do is put in a couple block variables. And if you remember, these block variables we can use within the block right here. All right. And they'll just be two bool variables. We're going to say any non-leader found in play. And for now, we're just going to say no. It's possibly a big assumption, but believe me, as we enumerate through here, we'll probably find either a leader or a non-leader found in play. So the warnings we're just getting here are saying they're not found. Okay, and well, this is pretty easy. Let's go and use this if statement right here, and we're going to say leader found equals yes. All right, so that would probably keep the game from exploding in on itself right away. All right, because think about it, this update method is running actually even before the game has or the characters have arrived into the game. So come to think of it, initially this is not going to find a leader, right? And that's the issue we're going to have to solve, but let's keep going down here. And then else if character.following enabled, all right, so we've got a character that is a follower. If we find one of those guys, then we're going to switch this down to here and say equals yes. All right. So now our conditions are kind of simple. Outside of this block, okay, and let's just put a little note here, outside of the enumeration block, we then test for a leader or follower being found. And what's going to go down here too is, first off, if a leader was found but we did find, or a leader was not found but we did find a follower in play, that means that that follower now needs to become the new leader. Okay, and then if we don't find any leaders, we'll go ahead and start the game over. All right, so we're going to say if leader found equals no, and I'm going to put one more condition in here later, so I'm just going to go ahead and write it like this. Give us a little bit of room down here. And then put another if statement inside of here. So if you're wondering why I'm not just combining these two together right now, there's a reason. All right, so if any non-leader found in play equals yes. All right, so the leader is dead. We can assume that. But a follower has been tapped in. Let's put a little NSLog statement. Leader not found, assigning a 1. All right, and within here, we are going to enumerate, and we might as well save some time. Just go ahead and take that right there, paste it on in. I know this is going to get a little confusing to look at, but well worth it, I think. And once again, we're also going to just cast our CS character as the node that got found. I kind of don't like the, there we go. I want to move this one back a little bit. Generally, you like to have these kind of line up here so they're easier to see. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I go through every character again, right? And whichever character, whichever first character I find, I'm going to make that guy the new leader. So I'll say if character dot following enabled equals yes, then leader is going to equal the character. Because remember, we still have an instance kicking around here that that is the leader, or was, I should say. And we'll say leader, make leader, and then my world, insert child leader at an index of 0. So we finally got to use that line, insert child at an index of 0. And that means that when further enumerations occur, the first child inside of my world that's going to get looked at is always going to be this leader, because he's at an index of 0. Now, it's nothing to do with visually how he looks. It's just his placement and the kind of internal stacking of who to look at here, or just he's just first in the index. All right, you can think of it like an array. I mean, it is an array, so think of it like that. So he's now at the first spot, and he'll always get looked at first. And I think I've gone through it. I've kind of made sure most of my enumerations don't really matter if who gets looked at first. Actually, this one aside, but still, I think it's a good idea to pop that leader down there at an index of 0. All right, so after you've done that, then we're going to put a little else statement in here that says, well, for now, let's just write nslog game over. And we'll end up calling game over down here. If we were to build this right now, we're going to crash. All right, and if you want to, no, actually, I don't know if we're going to crash. We're just gonna, this is going to end essentially. Nothing's gonna happen for us. Actually, no, you know what? Come to think of it, we're not really doing anything if it's a game over. So, well, yeah, we'll see that. All right, there we go. Okay, so we we survived a little bit longer. If we'd had a game over in here, a method in here that transitioned to a new scene, we would just basically instantly see that scene, because you see what happened here. It obviously called game over right away. So what we need to do is create a bool variable up at the top here, and we're going to use this for seeing if the game has begun. Game has begun, and let's go. I mean, by default, these are always going to equal no, but sometimes I just like to put that in there anyway. All right, so when are we going to note the game has actually begun? All right. I think the best thing to do is or basically just set it the first time someone has touched down to move the character, right? So let's do this. Within our handle, swipe left, right? You do it right there. And you know, it's funny is, oddly enough, in my test project, I had this written up here. But come to think of it, we still want to check to make sure that there's actually a character on the stage before we mark this as yes. And you know, essentially this gets done. I mean, this gets set to yes a few too many times when you think about it, because every time you're swiping it gets set to yes. But it's just a harmless bool variable that's getting set, so it's not a problem. All right, and we'll do that within all of these. And you know, we could probably take out these log statements while we're at it. Honestly, I don't know if this is still the case or not, but I read a long time ago that leaving in your NS log statements is a bad idea for the final version of the app. Okay, and then finally, game has begun. Nope, we want to get that inside of the enumerator. Did I make that mistake here too? I did. All right, now we've got at least something that marks the game has begun, and what we need to do is make sure that we don't, well, let's just head back to our update statement. Make sure that we don't run any of this stuff if the game has not begun. And that's easy enough. All we're going to do is just come up here to the top and say, put in an AND operator. Game has begun equals yes. Okay. And then down here, if the game ends, we can, there's really not a big reason to set this back to, yeah, actually we do need to do that. I was about to say there's not a reason to set this back to no, but there is, because this update statement is of course firing over and over, so we could potentially trigger this same message twice. But if this is immediately switched back to no, then this can't run at all. All right, and just trying to think if there is another place we need to write that. I don't think so. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. Now we can give this kind of a proper test too, where we actually run the character into the wall. Doink and doink. All right, so let's see what happened. Game over. All right, that's a great sign. Of course, we're not doing anything still when the game ends. We should also go pick up a follower, come to think of it. Okay, and dink and dink. All right, now he's the new follower. And you'll notice too that we're already automatically centering in on him because he got cast as the leader. And doink. All right, and now we should probably be seeing, yep, game over. And that's a good sign too, of course. So we saw leader not found, assigning new one. So that actually takes care of that. Okay, so let's go write our method to start the game over, and we'll just call self game over. And of course this could be used to send the player, yourself or whoever, to any scene. It doesn't really matter, but we're going to go back to the start menu just for right now, and let's come down here to the bottom. That makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, right down here. I'll put a little pragma mark in here. Pragma mark. Game over, man. A little nod to Hicks from Aliens. Is it Hicks or Hudson? I think it's Hicks. All right, game over. I think I had that in caps, didn't I? When we get down here, there's a few things you might want to do. I'll just paste this in real quick. You like when we killed off a character, you might want to go and kind of wipe out everything inside of my world. That's just an option. If you were to do that, you might also want to then take care of my world itself. Remove from parent. Again, I think I'm pretty confident these things all get cleaned up on their own, but feel free to kind of dump them out. And then we're going to write pretty much the identical code that got used to actually create our scene, our initial scene over here. So if you wanted to copy that, you could, or we'll just go over here and write it. It is going to be sk scene. This is going to equal next scene. I'll be a little vague about that. And I'm going to put in here CS start menu. And of course, if you're not seeing that, that's because we forgot to come up here and actually import it. All right, import CS start menu. Alec. And I'm going to put in here init with size. Only getting a little worried because that didn't fill itself in. And self.size. Oh, and there's an obvious problem. Okay, so that would be why the code colorer had an issue. Okay, SK transition. We'll use a fade here. All right, and SK transition. You can, of course, kind of thumb through here and find all your different options. One of them is a fade with color, and then we put in the color that you want. And Sprite Kit has some nice preset color definitions. You just put in here SK color and then black color or any other color you want. Well, not any, but you know, you can look for red color, orange color, things like that. So let's go with black. And then for the duration, we'll just make this a 1.5 second fade out. And finally, self.view, present scene, next scene, transition, fade, or fade. All right, that'll take care of that. Let's head over here to our start menu. And right now we've just got the text that shows up here that's saying, hey, it's a start menu. For right now, let's just change this to restarting level. And we can leave all that as is. Let's go ahead and put in a perform selector here. Perform selector, add selector, play again, with object, nil, and after delay. Let's just throw in a 3-second delay. Just give you enough time to read it. And finally, I do need to actually write void, play again. And let's put in, well, let's just copy what we had before. And make it a red color. All right, that should actually do it. So let's give this a little test run. Let's walk into the wall. Doink. And boom. Alright, fades out. It says restarting level. There. Uh-oh. Oh. I forgot to actually switch out the the exact scene. CS level. Alright, and of course then we need to come over here and import that in. Okay, now let's give that another shot. So confident that was gonna work. Boink and doink. Okay, restarting level, and sure enough, we're back again. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, that ought to do it for right now in terms of getting this game restarted. So we've what do we got to do next? Let's come back and figure out how we're going to switch out who is in command of the team, who the camera follows. All right, so we'll do that next.